The Birdie Board podcast is brought to you by the Birdie Board app, the easiest way to track matches, scores, and handicaps with friends. Now, here's your host, Corey, with another episode of the Birdie Board podcast.
Welcome to episode 6 of the Birdie Board podcast. On this episode, we're going to talk about the 60-day golf fitness base plan that I've put together. So last week, we were talking about what we can start doing in the off season for golf. I think for most of of the country, if you're in the United States or even around the world, a lot of us are getting near the end of our golf season. We're starting to figure out what are we going to do in the off season. For many of us, that might just mean taking a break from things, but I think all of us are looking to improve our game, and to some extent that does mean we need to continue our training throughout the winter. So I'm going to talk about a 60-day golf fitness base plan that I put together later on in this episode. But before I do, I just kind of want to talk about how the podcast has been going. This week we hit 50 downloads for the podcast, so we're averaging like 10 downloads an episode, which is awesome. And a big goal I had for this podcast is I just always wanted to be as authentic as possible. So you guys are going to hear me slip up at times. It's going to have weird pauses at times as I gather my thoughts. But you know what? I would rather have that than some polished podcast with perfect editing. I want it to always be authentic. And one of the things I do to try to keep it authentic is I always do these podcasts in one take. In my mind, like it's going to be what it's going to be. I put together somewhat of a plan of what I want to talk about, but I just want it to be authentic. I take a lot of inspiration from the Brant and Sherry Oddcast, which has the level of authenticity that I want in a podcast. I would definitely encourage you guys to listen to it. It's not a sports podcast, but it's one of my favorites. So I take a lot of inspiration from that, just the style of podcast, making sure that I stay authentic with it. I did start this podcast because I want to grow more than just the Birdie Board app. I want to really create like a Birdie Board community, a place for golfers, and a place that we can all relate to. I think a lot of channels are coming from the perspective of like someone who is a 2 handicap and has been playing since they're 4 years old or something like that. And I'm just not one of those people. I played growing up just casually with my dad and my papa, but I really didn't start getting serious about golf until I got into college and I started playing with my roommates more. So I think I'm improved a lot over the last few years, but I'm on this journey just like anyone else is. But that's where I kind of go with my own journey, is how can I continue my improvement throughout the winter? I live in the Northeast, so it's October right now. The golf season is quickly coming to the end. It's getting harder to golf now. The mornings are super cold. Leaves are everywhere. It's beautiful to golf this time of the year in the fall, but it's tricky. So with that, I am starting my workout plan. I talked about this last week, and just as I said last week, I'm going to commit to something. That's exactly what I did. So I kind of started by doing a workout class with my wife, and it absolutely destroyed me. I couldn't move at all. So that was Saturday, and yesterday, Sunday, I was so sore. And it probably makes sense. I barely worked out since my daughter was born almost a year ago. So that was kind of an eye-opener in a way that like I really need to commit to this. I can't just say it like I did in the podcast. So I did. And one of the things about my background is I have a strong understanding of how to put together workout plans. Like I talked about last week, I learned a lot of my stuff through my dad, who learned it from Bill Gillespie. So taking my knowledge of how to build a workout plan, I kind of thought, okay, what sort of workout plan can I put together for golf? There's a few things that I wanted, and I'm hoping it will be valuable to you too. I wanted a workout plan that wasn't super long, so 30 minutes to 45, because as we talked about, consistency is key with working out. And for me personally, I'm not going to be able to commit to an hour-long workout every single day. As much as I would like to, I don't have the time to do that. And even if I found the time to do it, I probably would only be able to keep up with it for a few weeks until something else stole my time. So I found a sweet spot for me with consistency is somewhere between 30 and 45-minute workouts, all included. So that includes stretching, cool down, running, whatever happens, I try to keep it within 45 minutes. So that was kind of the motivation for the structure of the plan. And then I started thinking about, okay, what does this plan need to do? We know that professional golfers recently have put more emphasis on the mobility. So that was a clear answer to me, is that I needed a workout that had good mobility in it. Another key emphasis we see, especially if you study Tiger Woods training, is endurance. He used to go on 1 to 2 hours of runs every single morning, and then he would train for hours after that. So I'm thinking, okay, in my own workout plan, I'm not going to be able to run for 1 or 2 hours every morning, but that doesn't mean I can't run most of the days. So this plan I came up with has mobility and running in it. So I put this plan together, and a timeline that I found that works pretty well is 60 days. So that's roughly a 2-month workout. It gets you working out every single day for at least 20, 30 minutes or so. So I did design this plan to be able to be done by anyone. So as I mentioned, I haven't been working out much at all over the last year or so. So I needed a plan that I could kind of start from ground zero. So this plan has mobility that starts for beginners. I actually found it from another YouTuber that does mobility exercise plans. He has a nice 30-day plan, and I use that, and I'm doing it twice in this 60-day plan. And then I put together a 5K plan that has worked for me in the past. It assumes that you can at least run a mile. It doesn't matter the pace you run that mile, but you should be able to at least run a mile at some pace. And it works you up to a 5K over the 60 days. Now, if that's a little aggressive for you, I know not everyone can run a mile, you can scale it down a little bit. So maybe instead of running, you do half of a run, half of a walk. I think you can still go through this plan even with that. And so I kind of talked about this plan a ton so far. I want to say I am going to put the actual Google Sheet in the show notes so that you guys can follow it along yourselves. And do this workout plan with me. It's always going to be available. I'm just going to keep it as like a public link. So whether you listen to it today, which is October 27th, or you listen to it years down the road, you're still going to be able to do it. It's going to be a nice, I call it a base plan. I've really thought a lot about like, what do I want to call this? I settled on base plan because I want to just emphasize that this is just a 60-day fitness plan to give you a good base for your golfing. And it comes at a good time of the year because the winter is just starting. And if you have a plan saying, hey, I want to work out throughout all winter so that I can hit the ground hit the ground running next golf season, you need to start now, but you can't just jump into it like some people can. So if you maybe have been working out, then yeah, you can jump into a stronger plan. But I think a lot of golfers, what they've been doing is they've just been golfing, especially over the end of the summer. They're trying to get their final rounds in, maybe playing like every weekend or something like that. So they might not have been working out as much. So what this plan is just kind of try to establish a nice base. One of the things I've done with this workout is just talking about like why that mobility matters. It's just really trying to emphasize control during your golf swings. It shows up when like your hip movements, your rotation, you're going to have less fatigue, you're going to feel looser. That's where that mobility comes in. I read an important definition too. What's the difference between mobility and flexibility? Well, flexibility is just how long your muscles can expand, where mobility is that control during the expansion. That's what we're looking for in a golf swing, is really good mobility where we are stressing the muscles and being able to get a nice fluid swing. Why does endurance matter for golfers? And it's not just like getting ripped and seeing how much we can lift. It's to be fresh and mentally sharp on that hole 18. Golf is long, as you know. It can be 3 hours if you're really at a good pace, but those slow days can be 4 or 5 hours long. And it's a mental challenge, and if you want to overcome that mental challenge, you need to take some roadblocks out of the way. And one of those roadblocks you can take out of the way is fatigue, and you can do that by consistently working out throughout the winter. I like structuring this in kind of a 2 30-day cycles with the mobility, because really, frankly, I just found a really good 30-day mobility plan that I've been going through and I really like. I think this 30-day mobility plan, you put that together twice for a 60-day plan, and then you pair a 5K endurance workout in with it on the lighter days, and you have yourself a really good opening workout for the winter season. So I did start this today. I've gone through similar plans before, but I started it today and I really liked it. I felt a little bit of a workout, like it wasn't totally easy like just stretching would be, but it wasn't very taxing either. So it is, I think, a really good start to the golf season. So like I said, I'm going to put that in the show notes so that you guys can download the same Excel sheet or Google sheet that I'm using, and you can follow along yourselves with a 60-day. I don't really want to call it a challenge. I don't think I have enough consistent listeners yet to do that, but if you want to call it the 60-day golf fitness base plan challenge, you go for it. But all the notes and all the directions are in this Google sheet. Just a couple reminders, I guess. I have the sheet up in front of me. You do one workout a day, so it literally is a workout every single day for a half hour. It's really emphasizing that consistency that I keep talking about. It is primarily a mobility-focused plan, but it has some endurance built in with that 5K training. It is built to be beginner-friendly, and it is... It doesn't require much equipment at all, pretty much just a yoga mat, maybe some yoga blocks or something similar just to help you with some of those stretches if you can't get into the full stretch routine or exercise. And then you can always just run outside. So I try to minimize what was needed. And then also, this is important too for some people. It's pretty low impact. I don't want to say nothing because you are still running, but it isn't a ton of jumping or something like that. I do anticipate, like, after 60 days, you probably will feel amazing. You'll feel really loose, really in control. You're going to have a nice endurance base with the 5K. And my plan is to give you guys something to follow up afterwards, so stay tuned for that. But just commit to this 60-day plan so that you guys can get a good base. Most of the mobility days will give you the warm-up you need. If you do a mobility plus a run day, which you'll see in the plan as quite a few of the days, not every time will the mobility warm you up in the way you need for the run. So make sure you're doing a little extra stretching right before your run, get your hamstrings stretched out, stuff like that. And then it's really beneficial to stretch after every session you do as well. That's just going to help your muscles recover quicker and get you ready for the next workout. Protein intake is huge too. That's going to help you make the most of it. There's formulas online. I don't have any in front of me to figure out how much protein intake you should take, but definitely look that up for yourselves. Look up your body type, your weight, things like that, male, female, and that should help you figure out how much protein you need to take in a day to really make the most of this workout plan. All right, and I think I covered everything. I guess I can kind of say, quick disclaimer, this workout is just kind of for general fitness or educational purposes. You should always consult your physician or qualified health professional before starting any new exercise or fitness program. You know, the normal jargon that people have to do before giving stuff like this. So that's the plan. I hope I hear from some of you that you guys are doing it. I'm definitely going to commit to it, and I'll give status updates as we go along in this Birdie Board podcast. The last thing I guess on the agenda is just some cool updates. The Birdie Board community, I think, is taking off pretty well. The app itself has 50 downloads. I think that was one of the first real milestones that the app has hit, so that's pretty exciting. Similarly, the podcast has also hit 50 downloads, so I think that's getting really consistent. I'm getting about one episode out a week. I'm seeing quite a few downloads, so I'm excited about that. I think the biggest surprise to the Birdie Board community is the short videos I make, which come from this podcast. Over all the platforms, there's been over 30,000 views in just a little over 3 weeks. And just on YouTube alone, we have over 25,000. So I think people are really receiving this golf content well, and it really motivates me to put out more of it. But I think it is kind of just a sign of the traction of momentum that Birdie Board is starting to take on. And I just want to thank everyone who has listened or shared or supported. Probably most people listening to this podcast are still just friends and family. So thank you guys for supporting me as I build Birdie Board, and I hope it just continues to grow. It's been a fun project so far. All right, and to close out the episode is an exciting announcement. So I've been trying to grow this Birdie Board community, and we have our first guest speaker next week. So next week, I'm going to be interviewing a PGA professional. His name is Jeff Jones. He's a teacher. And has been in the teaching realm of the PGA professional group for, I think, over 40 years now. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about his background, what he loves to do, and I'm just going to interview him, and we're just going to pick his brain. He is by far a better coach than I would ever be. I don't have that sort of credential, so it's a really cool episode for you guys to all buy into and listen to. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. I will be posting that episode next Monday, so keep on a lookout for that. So I appreciate everyone listening. Until next time, keep on keeping on.
Thanks for tuning into the Birdie Board podcast. If you enjoyed it, subscribe and share it with a friend who loves golf as much as you do. And before your next round, grab the Birdie Board app, free on the Apple App Store and Google Play Store, and let it handle the scoring while you enjoy the game.